Today, we are diving into a concept that I call the food uniform, a game changing approach that's helping my clients achieve food freedom and intuitive eating. Now, this isn't a way to put yourself on a diet, it's a personalized eating strategy that brings structure and flexibility to your eating habits. Imagine knowing exactly how to handle unexpected treats or dining out without derailing your health goals for days or even months. That's the power of the food uniform. It's about creating a sustainable, enjoyable way of eating that fits your life, not the other way around. If you've struggled with rigid diets or felt lost in a sea of conflicting nutritional advice, this episode is for you. Get ready to transform your approach to food and take a significant step towards optimal health for yourself. Let's dive in. Welcome to Total Health and Midlife, the podcast for women embracing the pivotal transformation from the daily grind to the dawn of a new chapter. I'm Elizabeth, your host and fellow traveler on this journey. As a life and health coach, I am intimately familiar with the changes and challenges we face during this stage. Shifting careers, changing relationships, our new bodies, and redefined goals and needs as we start to look to the future and ask, what do I want? In this podcast, we'll explore physical, mental, and emotional wellness, offering insights and strategies to achieve optimal health through these transformative years. Yes, it's totally possible. Join me in this amazing journey of body, mind, and spirit, where we're not just improving our health, but transforming our entire lives. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Total Health and Midlife podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth Sherman, and I am so glad that you are here with me today. So thank you for tuning in to what I think is going to be a really good and interesting episode for many of you. I want you to walk away today having learned something and even a few strategies and tactics to help you move more towards having food freedom. Today, I am revisiting a topic that's central to the work that I do with my clients. I'm explaining what I call the food uniform. It's a concept that I've refined over time and seen create remarkable changes in how women approach their eating habits in order to achieve food freedom, develop self-trust, and never have to go on another diet ever again. Doesn't that just sound amazing? Now, you might be wondering, but Elizabeth, what exactly is a food uniform? Well, it's not about wearing a special outfit while you eat, for sure. Instead, it's a personalized, flexible approach to structuring your meals in a way that aligns with your health goals, how you want to feel, and your lifestyle. This concept is super different from the rigid, one-size-fits-all diets that leave you feeling deprived and set up for failure. Instead, the food uniform is about creating a sustainable, enjoyable way of eating that fits your life, not the other way around. I've seen firsthand how this approach can liberate women from the constant cycle of restricting and binging, from feeling guilty about every single treat, and from the overwhelming confusion about what you should, quote unquote, be eating. The beauty of the food uniform is that it starts with exactly where you are today. It's not about overhauling your entire diet overnight. And instead, it's about learning and accepting where you are and then making small, manageable changes that add up to sustainable improvements in your health and your relationship with food. Now, throughout this episode, I will guide you through the process of creating your own food uniform. We'll talk about how to analyze your current eating habits, make gradual improvements, and even how to handle those tricky situations that often derail our best intentions, like when we're at a party, or we go out to dinner, or we have friends in town. Those times when we want to throw our hands up in the air and give up because we feel like complete failures. Now, this process that I'm walking you through today, it isn't just theory. It's a practical, proven approach that I use with my clients every single day. And while you can certainly implement these ideas on your own, I'll also share how working with me, because this is a framework that I have created and only I have access to, can accelerate your progress and provide you with the support that you need. Whether you're tired of yo yo dieting, confused about what to eat, or simply looking for a more balanced approach to nutrition, today's episode aims to get you headed in the right direction. So let's face it, dieting can be a miserable experience. If you've ever tried a traditional diet, you know the drill. You're handed a meal plan that feels completely foreign and filled with foods that, quite honestly, you don't particularly enjoy, and portion sizes that leave you feeling hungry and unsatisfied. I once was on a meal plan that specified 6 green beans. Like, come on. It's like that movie Freaky Friday where you have to pretend that you're living someone else's life. These diets often require you to make drastic changes overnight. Suddenly, you're expected to give up all of your favorite foods, eat at different times, and completely overhaul your eating habits. It's no wonder that many of us feel overwhelmed and set up for failure right from the start. But it's not just about the food itself that's challenging. One of the most painful aspects of dieting is the social isolation that it can create. You find yourself turning down dinner invitations, avoiding social gatherings, or sitting at the table with a plate that looks nothing like everyone else's. And so you feel like an outsider in your own life. You feel disconnected from the joy and camaraderie that often comes with sharing meals with others. And then there's family dinners. When you're on a restrictive diet, eating with a family that isn't interested in eating what's on your diet can become a source of stress and conflict. You're either preparing separate meals for yourself or you're trying to explain to your kids why you can't eat what they're having. It's exhausting and it often leads to resentment, not to mention a disordered relationship with food that we're passing down generation to generation. This is why drastic changes often fail. They're simply not sustainable in the real world. Our lives are complex and they're filled with social obligations, family responsibilities, and long ingrained habits. Trying to force yourself into a completely new way of eating overnight is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't work. Moreover, these abrupt changes often trigger a rebellion in our brains. When we suddenly restrict ourselves, our minds tend to fixate on what we can't have. And so this leads to intense cravings, feelings of deprivation, and often eventual binge eating. It's a cycle that leaves us feeling guilty, ashamed, and even further from our health goals than we started. The truth is that lasting change does not happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience, a heck of a lot of self compassion, and a realistic approach to the complexities of our lives. And this is where the concept of the food uniform comes in because it's a way of eating that works with your life, not against it. To start with creating our food uniform, before we can make any meaningful changes to our current eating habits, what we need to do first is we need to understand where we're starting from. And so at that point, we need to start with doing some food logging. And I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, Elizabeth, not another food diary. But hang on and hear me out because this isn't about counting every calorie or gram of fat. It's about gaining awareness, and it is such a game changer. Also, we're doing this for a super short period of time. When I work with my clients, I always start by having them track their eating for a week or two. But here's the twist. We use good old fashioned pen and paper, not a log that tells you that you're over calories or anything like that. Again, all we're doing here is understanding what I eat, why, and when. It's not about judgment, it's about awareness. So as you log your meals, you start to notice patterns. Maybe you always reach for chocolate or something crunchy at 3 p.m. Or maybe you realize that you're skipping breakfast more often than you really thought. So these insights are super important because they're the key to understanding your current habits and then identifying areas where you might want to start making changes. But we're not just looking at when you eat, we're also paying attention to what you eat regularly. These things will become your quote unquote menu items, the meals and snacks that make up your current food uniform without you even realizing it. Maybe it's your go to breakfast smoothie, your favorite lunch wrap, or the pasta dish that you whip up when you are absolutely crushed for time. As we analyze these regular meals, we start to break them down into categories: proteins, fats, starches, vegetables, and treats. Now, this isn't about labeling your foods as good or bad, but rather about understanding the composition of your typical meals and your day overall. So, you might be surprised to find that your diet is more balanced than you thought. Or you might discover areas where you're consistently missing certain food groups. The goal here isn't to criticize your current habits, it's to create a clear, honest picture of where you are right now. Because here's the truth: you can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you're starting from. And one of the reasons that diets fail is because the gap between where we are and where the diet puts us is so completely different that it's not sustainable. This process often brings up emotions. You might feel embarrassed about certain eating habits or frustrated that you're not eating as healthy as you thought you were. These feelings are 100% normal and they're part of the process. The key is to approach this analysis with curiosity rather than judgment. And so, as we go through this process, we're not just looking at individual meals, we're also looking at your overall eating patterns. How many times a day are you eating? Are you snacking a lot between your meals? Do your weekends look drastically different from your weekdays? All of this information helps us to understand your current relationship with food. Now, this isn't about achieving perfection, it's about gaining clarity. And your current eating habits have developed over years, influenced by countless factors: your upbringing, your lifestyle, your preferences, and so many more other things. Understanding these habits is the first step towards making changes that stick. By the end of this logging period, you'll have good information about your current eating habits, and that allows you to make empowered decisions. This becomes the foundation for creating your personalized food uniform, a way of eating that's tailored to your life, your preferences, and your health goals. It's from this place of awareness and understanding that real lasting change becomes possible. So let's talk about the food uniform concept. It's a total game changer in how I approach eating. So imagine having a wardrobe, but for your meals. Just like a capsule wardrobe simplifies your clothing choices, a food uniform simplifies your eating decisions without sacrificing variety or enjoyment. Think of it this way: your breakfast options are like your tops, your lunch choices are your bottoms, and your dinner selections are your shoes. Your snacks and treats, well, they're the accessories that add some extra flair to your day. I love this concept. Just as you wouldn't wear the same outfit every day, you're not eating the same meals every day either. But you have curated a selection of options that you know work for you and help you to feel good. What exactly is a food uniform? It's a personalized, flexible framework for your eating habits. It's not a rigid meal plan that tells you exactly what to eat every day. And instead, it's a collection of meal options that you enjoy, that support your health goals, and that fit into your life. The beauty of the food uniform is that it's entirely yours. It's based on your preferences, your lifestyle, and your health objectives. It includes foods that you actually like to eat, meals that are realistic for you to prepare, and options that work whether you're at home, at work, or out with friends. This approach differs dramatically from traditional diets because most diets hand you a preset meal plan and expect you to adapt your entire life to fit to it. The food uniform does the opposite. It adapts to fit your life. It's not about restriction, but rather about organization and intentionality. One of the biggest benefits of the food uniform is that it reduces decision fatigue. How many times have you stood in front of the fridge, overwhelmed by the options and unsure of what to eat? With a food uniform, you have a set of go-to meals that you know that you enjoy and that align with your goals. It takes the guesswork out of eating well. Another key advantage is flexibility. Traditional diets often fall apart when real life happens. A dinner invitation, a busy week at work, a holiday. Your food uniform is designed to accommodate for these realities. It includes strategies for eating out, for busy days, and yes, even for enjoying treats without guilt. The food uniform also promotes a healthier relationship with food. Instead of categorizing foods as good or bad, you learn to create balanced meals that include all of your food groups. It allows for, and I explicitly include, treats. This approach allows for moderation and enjoyment rather than restriction and deprivation. Perhaps most importantly, the food uniform is sustainable. It's not a quick fix or a temporary solution. It's a way of eating that you can maintain long term because it's tailored to you. As your life changes, your food uniform can evolve with you. Creating your food uniform is a process of listening to your body. It's about understanding what foods can make you feel good, which meals are realistic for your lifestyle, and how to balance nutrition with enjoyment. It's a powerful tool for taking control of your eating habits without feeling controlled by them. So now that you understand the concept of a food uniform, let's walk through the process of creating one. Again, this isn't about putting yourself on a strict, rigid diet. It's about systematically understanding and refining your eating habits. It's an iterative process. So you start by creating a list of your regular meals. Remember that food log that we talked about earlier? This is where it comes in hand. Look through your food log and identify the meals that show up over and over and over again. Typically, we humans are pretty much creatures of habit. And so we tend to eat the same thing over and over and over again. You're just identifying what those meals actually are. And those will be your current go-to options, the foundation of your existing food uniform. Now, this next piece is super important. Don't judge these meals. Whether it's a bowl of cereal for breakfast or a takeout burger for dinner, we are simply acknowledging what you're currently eating right now. This honesty is crucial because we're building on your real habits, not an idealized version of what you think you should be doing that you're not. Once you have this list, you want to move on to breaking down these meals into food categories. We're looking at 5 main food groups. We're looking at protein, fats, starches, vegetables, and treats. This step is about understanding the composition of your typical meals. So, for example, let's say that one of your regular dinners is spaghetti with meat sauce. We'd break that down into a starch, the pasta, a protein, the meat in the sauce, fat, if you're using any oil or cheese, and possibly a small amount of vegetables, depending on if there's any in the sauce. Notice that we're not judging it, we're just categorizing it. And so as you do this for all of your regular meals, patterns will start to emerge. And you might start to notice that your breakfasts are heavy in starches but light on protein. Or maybe you start to see that vegetables are missing from most of your lunches. Again, no judgment, just an observation. So the next step is to assess your current intake versus your desired intake. And this is where we start to think about what changes you might want to make. But here's the key. We're not aiming for perfection. We're not going on a diet. We're not overhauling everything. We're simply looking for improvement. Look at how many servings of each food category you're typically eating in a day. And then consider how many you think would be ideal for your health goals. Be realistic here. If you're currently eating one serving of vegetables a day, jumping to 5 overnight isn't likely to stick. Instead, you might aim for 2 servings as your next step, or even 1.5. Just lean into it. So this assessment helps us to identify the what I call low-hanging fruit, the easiest changes that could make a significant impact that we feel that are 80 to 90% confident that we can do, that we can commit to and complete. Maybe it's adding a protein source to your breakfast or incorporating a vegetable side with your dinner. The goal of the food uniform isn't to put yourself on your own restrictive diet. It's to create a way of eating that's healthier than where you started, but still enjoyable and sustainable to you. Throughout this process, it's crucial to stay connected to your body and your preferences. Just because a meal fits the right categories doesn't mean that it's right for you. So pay attention to how food makes you feel. Do they satisfy you? Do they give you energy? Do you actually enjoy eating them? Creating your food uniform is a personal process. It's about finding the balance between nutrition and enjoyment, between structure and flexibility. It's about creating a way of eating that supports your health while still fitting into your real life. So now that we've identified your current eating patterns, it's time to focus on making gradual improvements. The key word here is gradual. We're not looking for a complete overhaul. We're aiming for sustainable changes that you can actually stick with. Let's start by identifying what I call the low-hanging fruit. These are the easiest changes that you can make that also have a significant impact. Maybe you notice that you rarely eat a vegetable at breakfast, which, by the way, is super common. Adding a handful of spinach to your morning smoothie or some sliced tomatoes to your eggs could be an easy way to boost your vegetable intake. Or maybe you realize that your afternoon snack is always something sugary. So you could reduce your portion size or swap it out for a piece of fruit or some yogurt, which could also provide more sustained energy and better nutrition without feeling like a huge sacrifice. The goal here is to make small, impactful adjustments that feel doable. If you're used to having a sandwich for lunch every day, you don't need to suddenly switch to salads. And instead, you could start by adding some extra vegetables to your sandwich or making a wrap instead out of whole grain wraps. One powerful question I always encourage my clients to ask themselves is, what would I have liked to have eaten today? Then plan that for tomorrow. This ensures that you are creating a food uniform that you actually enjoy and look forward to eating, not just one that you think you should follow. I think it's always super important to remember that the person that you will be tomorrow is probably pretty similar to the person that you are today. And so if the idea of eating nothing but chicken breast, broccoli, and brown rice makes you want to run screaming, don't plan that for tomorrow because it's not sustainable and it's not necessary for improving your health either. So instead, think about how you can healthy up, I put that in air quotes, your current favorite meals. Do you love pasta? Great. Then maybe you could try mixing some zucchini noodles in with your regular pasta, or add some extra vegetables to your sauce. Do you enjoy burgers? Fantastic. Perhaps you could try a lettuce wrap or a portobello mushroom instead of a bun occasionally, or add a side salad if you're out at a restaurant. The key here is to make changes that feel good to you. changes that you can see yourself sticking with, not just tomorrow, but next week, next month, and after that. This is how we create lasting improvements in our eating habits, not through deprivation, but rather through enjoyable, sustainable changes. Now, one of the main concepts of this food uniform is deciding ahead of time. It's a crucial component of the food uniform approach, and it is a game changer when it comes to making healthier choices consistently. I released a whole episode just on this topic alone a few weeks ago. It's episode number 175. So go back and listen to that if you haven't already. This strategy involves planning, not necessarily preparing your meals and snacks in advance. Typically, the night before or even an entire week ahead, it's like pre-logging your food. So here's how it ties into the food uniform concept. Once you've established your personalized set of meal options, deciding ahead of time is about choosing which one of these options you're going to enjoy each day. So it's like laying out your clothes the night before. You're setting yourself up for success by eliminating last-minute decisions. The beauty of this approach is that it takes the guesswork out of eating well. And when you've already decided what you're going to eat, you don't have to rely on willpower or make decisions when you're hungry, tired, or stressed. You simply follow through on the plan that you've already made. This strategy is particularly powerful because it allows you to make food choices using your rational brain rather than your emotional brain. And when you're planning ahead, you're more likely to consider your health goals and make choices that align with them. In the moment, however, our decisions are often driven by immediate desire or stress, which can lead to choices that we later regret because they don't align with our overall health goals. And this next part is super important. Deciding ahead of time isn't just about planning your main meals. It also includes planning for treats and snacks. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, aren't treats supposed to be spontaneous and fun? But here's the thing. By planning your treats, you're actually giving yourself permission to enjoy them without guilt. And you can look forward to them. I want you to have treats daily, whether it's a glass of wine, cookies, chocolate, chips, whatever it is that you feel is decadent and something that you would love to indulge in. But you can also use this concept on a larger weekly scale. So, for example, let's say that you know that you have a dinner out with friends on Friday night. You can totally plan for that. Perhaps choosing a lighter lunch that day or adjusting your choices earlier in the week. That way, you can fully enjoy your night out without feeling like you've quote unquote fallen off the wagon. Another significant benefit of deciding ahead of time is that it helps you to navigate unexpected situations. So, for example, if a colleague brings cupcakes to the office, you're not caught off guard. You can decide whether to enjoy the cupcake and decide that you'll forego your planned treat of drinking a glass of wine later, or stick to your original plan. Either way, you're making conscious choices rather than a reactive one. This approach also helps with grocery shopping and meal prep. When you know what you'll be eating, you can ensure that you have the necessary ingredients on hand. And this can lead to less food waste, more efficient shopping, and a smoother meal prep experience. Deciding ahead of time doesn't mean that you can never be spontaneous or flexible. Life happens, plans change, and that's totally okay. The goal isn't rigid adherence to a plan, but rather to have a default mode of eating that supports your health goals. When changes occur, you can adapt to your plan consciously rather than falling back on less healthy habits. The power of deciding ahead of time lies in its abilities to align your actions with your intentions. It bridges the gap between knowing what you want to do and actually doing it. By removing the need for constant decision making around food, it frees up mental energy for other aspects of your life. Deciding ahead of time is about setting your future self up for success. It's a compassionate act, one that acknowledges the challenges of in the moment decision making and provides a clear path forward. When combined with the personalized options of your food uniform, it creates a powerful system for sustainable, enjoyable, healthy eating. Navigating social situations and unexpected events is often where so many diets fall apart. But with your food uniform and the practice of deciding ahead of time, these challenges become way more manageable. The beauty of this approach is that it gives you the flexibility to enjoy dining out or attending parties without stress or guilt. And so, by ensuring that you're getting your vegetables, fiber, and other essential nutrients earlier in the day, you create a buffer that allows for more relaxed choices later on. So, want to enjoy pizza at a party? No problem. You can plan for it and adjust your other meals accordingly. But here's where the real magic happens. Over time, as you consistently make choices that align with your health goals, your tastes and preferences naturally start to shift. You're not forcing yourself to order the chicken salad because you're quote unquote on a diet, but instead, you find yourself genuinely wanting the chicken salad because you know that it makes you feel good. And yes, because it actually tastes delicious to you now. This transformation isn't about willpower or restriction. It's about gradually retraining your palate and learning to truly enjoy foods that nourish your body. You're not depriving yourself, you're expanding your range of enjoyable, satisfying food choices. And so when unexpected treats come your way, a colleague's birthday cake or a spontaneous dinner invitation, you have the tools to handle them. You can choose to enjoy the treat and adjust your plan, or politely decline if it doesn't fit with what you want for yourself. The key is that you are making conscious choices, not reactive ones. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress and consistency. We don't want to sweat the small stuff like obsessing over every spice or dressing. We want to focus on the big rocks, the fundamental habits that truly impact your health. And these are outlined in the 8 basic habits that healthy people do guide and checklist, which you can access at elizabethsherman.com/habits. By mastering your food uniform and the art of deciding ahead of time, you're not just changing what you eat, you're changing your entire relationship with food. You're becoming someone who makes choices from a place of self care and enjoyment, not restriction and obligation. So, the next thing is self compassion. Self compassion is the secret ingredient that makes the food uniform approach work. When my clients and followers hear self compassion, they worry that they'll become complacent, that they'll give up on their goals and start to believe all of their excuses. But that could not be further from the truth about what self compassion is all about. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a good friend or a child. This isn't about feel good advice. It's a crucial component of sustainable change. When you're kind to yourself, you create an environment where it's safe to make mistakes and learn from them. You're not beating yourself up for every perceived slip up or labeling yourself as a failure if you don't stick perfectly to your plan. So instead, you're approaching your health journey with curiosity and with patience. This self compassion is what allows you to avoid the destructive all or nothing mentality that derails so many diets. You know, that voice that says, well, I've already eaten one cookie, may as well eat the whole box. And that's the all or nothing thinking at work. And it's a recipe for yo yo dieting, frustration, and quite honestly, just giving up on yourself and then feeling like a failure and terrible afterwards. With self compassion, you can enjoy that cookie, you can savor it, and then move on with your day. You understand that one choice does not define your entire journey. You're playing the long game here, focusing on consistency over time rather than perfection in every moment. Being kind to yourself also means setting realistic expectations. So if you've been eating a certain way for years, it's unreasonable to expect overnight changes. Give yourself time to adjust, to learn, and to grow into your new habits. The goal of the food uniform isn't to create a perfect eater. You will get there. It's to create a happier version of you who has a balanced and enjoyable relationship with food. And that journey is much smoother, more successful, and more enjoyable when it's paved with self compassion. Now, while the food uniform concept is powerful on its own, working with me as your coach can dramatically accelerate your progress and deepen your understanding of this approach. As someone who's guided countless women through this process, I bring a wealth of experience and personalized strategies to the table. When we work together, I help you cut through the noise and confusion surrounding nutrition. I'll guide you in creating a food uniform that's truly tailored to your lifestyle, your preferences, and your health goals. No more second guessing or wondering if you're doing it right. You'll have my expert support every step of the way. One of the most valuable aspects of our work together is the accountability and problem solving support that I provide. When challenges arise, and I guarantee that they will, I'm here to help you navigate them. Whether it's dealing with cravings, managing social situations, or adjusting your plan as your life changes, we tackle these issues together. I also help you uncover and address the underlying thoughts and behaviors that might be holding you back. Often, it's not just about the food. It's about our relationship with the food, with our bodies, and quite honestly, ourselves. I can help you cultivate the self compassion and the mindset shifts that are necessary for lasting change. Moreover, I can help you fine tune your food uniform over time. As your tastes change and your health improves, we'll adjust your approach to ensure that it continues to serve you well. This ongoing refinement is key to making the food uniform a sustainable, lifelong approach to eating. You don't have to do this alone. And with my guidance, you can fast track your journey to a healthier, happier relationship with food and your body. We can work together to create a food uniform that not only nourishes your body, but also fits seamlessly into your life. As I wrap up, I want to recap how the food uniform is such an incredibly powerful approach. I've shared how this personalized, flexible strategy can liberate you from restrictive diets and help you build a sustainable, enjoyable relationship with food. Remember, it's about slow, gradual improvements, deciding ahead of time, and treating yourself with compassion throughout the entire process. The food uniform isn't just about what you eat. It's about changing your entire approach to nutrition and self-care. It's about becoming someone who makes choices from a place of self-love and understanding, not restriction and compliance or guilt. I encourage you to start implementing these ideas today. Begin by observing your current eating habits without judgment, and then take one small step towards creating your own food uniform. Keep in mind that progress, not perfection, is the goal. And so if you're ready to dive deeper and want personalized guidance on this journey, I am here to help and support you. I can help you collapse time and accelerate your progress and tackle any challenges that arise. To explore how we can create your ideal food uniform, go to elizabethsherman.com/call to schedule your consultation with me. That's all I have for you today. Have an amazing day, everyone. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the plethora of health advice out there and looking for something that's straightforward, my 8 Basic Habits That Healthy People Do guide and checklist is just what you need. It breaks down essential habits into simple, actionable steps that you already know how to do. By following these habits, you'll set yourself on a path to better health, surpassing most people that you know. To get your free copy, just click the link in the show notes or go to elizabethsherman.com/habits. It's an easy start, but it could make all the difference in your health journey. Grab your guide today and take the first step towards a healthier you.